West Carrollton School Board meeting. It is June 8th, 2022. If I could get a roll call, please. Mr. Sloan.
Mr. Cox,
Here.
Mr. Henry,
Present.
Mr. Llewellyn is absent. Mrs. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Mundy. Here.
All right, if you could join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. The chaos, I hope, is over with, and we can get moving forward with this. All right, tonight we've got to my far left Nathan Mundy, board member, Don Henry, also board member. To my immediate left is Dr. Andrea Townsend, our superintendent. My name is Joe Cox, the current president of the board. To my right is Leslie Miller, the current vice president. Mr. Llewellyn is not with us tonight, and Ryan Sloan, our treasurer, to the far right. And out in our audience, we have Melissa Tice, our assistant superintendent, Devin Berry, our director of human services, Jack Haig, our business manager, and Mr. Meyer is with us with curriculum. All right. It is recommended that the agenda for June 8th, 2022 meeting be adopted as presented. I need a motion and a second, and we do have an addendum.
I have an addendum.
Okay.
So to the addendum, I need to add item number 14C, add to item number 14D, add to item number 14E, add new item number 21, and new item number 22.
I will need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sloan?
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy. Yes.
It is recommended that the minutes for the regular meeting held on May 18th, 2022, and the special meeting held on June 1st, 2022 be approved as submitted. I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sloan?
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy. Yes. Mr. Cox.
Yes. We don't have any comments from the public relating to the agenda. Are you doing the student rep
Yep.
report?
I sure am.
On to number 8, the student rep report. Mrs. Miller, please.
Well, and this evening, we get to introduce our brand-new student rep to the board, Miss Maddie. If you would please come on down.
Hi, my name is Maddie McCune. I've been attending West Carrollton my whole life, and I'm the newest board member. I am also involved in the student council, and I'm excited to work with you all this year. And one of the things I would like to work on this year as a student representative is to bring back the mission statement above, to like reintroduce that to the elementary schools, to the high schools, to like put that as something, like reintroduce it, just so it's more known, and we can have that as a thing for all of the students of West Carrollton to know and live by, or
So something you don't know, which I would really appreciate your help since you're our board rep, we will be working on a new vision and mission and a portrait of a graduate for West Carrollton. So as a student leader, I would really appreciate it if you would help me with that.
Yeah.
And we also have some big news at OSBA this year. We're going to be presenting about our student rep program, so hopefully we can have you join us at that up in Columbus.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yes, it is. It is. So we're so very happy to have you. Any other comments?
What grade?
I will be a junior in the fall.
Junior.
Congratulations and welcome.
Yeah, throwing you into the mix, that's for
Yeah.
sure. That's for sure. Exciting.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, number 9, communications update. Ms. Janine.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You see, my presentation isn't popping up, but I wanted to focus tonight on our retirees, and we have several classified and the non-classified side, so educators and support personnel. But before I do that, I wanted to just make a quick comment on our graduation. I've attended a lot of graduation ceremonies this year, including West Carrollton. And every time I go to another ceremony, I'm like, West Carrollton does it so much better. And the kids definitely proved it graduation night. It was a wonderful ceremony. It could not have gone better. So congratulations to everyone for putting that together. And then this evening we wanted to recognize our retirees. I know a couple are here with us, but I'm going to read them here in the order that I have. Julie Bush. Julie has touched the lives of students, family, and staff at Harold Schnell Elementary School for 19 years. Prior to teaching at Schnell, she taught for 3 years at Holiday. The entire Schnell community is thankful for her commitment to students and families and her ability to listen, encourage, and share. Julie made a positive impact on the lives of the students she taught, and her passion for teaching and for putting students first will be greatly missed. Carol Carrier Kanath. And she was Carol Carrier until just recently, so we want to congratulate her on her retirement as well as her wedding. But for the past 34 years, Carol has brought laughter and happiness into many lives while working at Schnell, Holiday, and Russell. It didn't matter what building she was in, she was here to teach children, and she has done that exceptionally well. Carol has also been an upbeat guide, working as a co-director in the Readers Theater After School group. Carol has touched so many lives and has been a positive force in this district. It didn't matter where you started in her class, she wanted you to grow into the best version of yourself. Chirito Duovit Strange, and I apologize if I got the Duovit incorrect. She spent her career in West Carrollton as a paraprofessional working with children with special needs. During the summer, she worked on the paint crew. She always made a point to engage with the students in order to make meaningful connections. When Chirito was not working with students, she was always finding something to clean in the classroom, a quality that was most appreciated, especially during the height of the pandemic. Chirito is known for her homemade egg rolls that she would generously share with staff and students. And I just want to say I have never been the recipient of one of them, but I've heard that they're really good. So maybe in her retirement she could just run a batch down, but anyway. She has been a treasured and effective educator and a dedicated employee who is kind-hearted, a diligent worker, and a very caring person. And I have to say, every time I ever saw her, she would always give me a smile, so I appreciate that. Paula Farrell. Paula was hired in 1997, and she accurately processed payroll for our staff for 24 years. Paula and her husband, Ron, who is also a retired teacher, have lived in the district for many years and have been avid supporters of the Pirates. Their 2 children are also West Carrollton graduates, and they are also doing very well. So we always like a good Pirate graduate story. Paula has dedicated time volunteering for the city of West Carrollton on the City Beautiful Commission. She and her family enjoy cheering on UD Flyer basketball, and she's currently enjoying retirement, spending more time with her family and cheering on her grandchildren in their different activities. Robert Johnson has been instrumental in keeping the district's technology up and running for over 2 decades. He has an incredible work ethic, often putting in 12-hour days. It would not be unusual for him to start his day at 4 a.m. or even earlier if a task required it. Before coming to West Carrollton, Robert retired from the United States Air Force, and his patriotism continued when he would lead employees in the Pledge of Allegiance during the back-to-school meeting and when he would proudly raise and lower the American flag outside the technology office. Tara Messer has been a prized member of our pirate community for the past 19 years. She has supported West Carrollton as both a parent and a dedicated employee. She began her time in the district at Frank Nicholas Elementary as a library media specialist and continued in that role at both Holiday and Russell. She also spent many summers as a part of the district's summer paint crew. She is the definition of a team player, which was evident in her time spent teaching reading groups, supporting English language learners, coordinating book fairs, and collaborating with teachers. Tara always created a welcoming environment for students that has fostered a love for books and instilled the importance of reading. Anna Prahl, otherwise sometimes known as Anna, but I was corrected. I always remember that. She's so sweet. But Anna has been a part of the middle school and high school multimedia centers. Many students have known her from 6th grade through graduation. Her love of reading was a huge asset in recommending appropriate books to meet student needs. Anna's duties went well beyond the library. She assisted the technology department during summer breaks, served as a Spanish interpreter for Spanish-speaking students, and was involved in the leisure club with the special needs students. Anna has a gentle, no-nonsense approach that created a trust with students and adults alike and has been a great role model for our students. And she is another one that was always there with a smile whenever I saw her, so I appreciate that. And Lucy Reed. Every time I think of Lucy Reed, I think Lucy Lugene Reed. That's kind of how I always remember. Her real name's Lugene, but she goes by Lucy. And she has had, or the West Carrollton School District has had the pleasure of having Lucy Reed as a substitute and aide in the district for 10 years. During her tenure here, she used her talent and passion to work with students from all over the world while creating a classroom environment that felt like home. One of my personal favorite projects was going into Holiday when she was there, and she had this huge world map on one of the bulletin boards, and she had taken pins and put in the pin where each child was from all over the world, with strings that came to West Carrollton. So it was really a great way to connect the class. It was a great visual. I love that. So she developed strong relationships with her students, and they adored her. Students were always asking to work with her or be in her group. She was known for coming up with fun games for the kids, such as her own version of Quiddler and Outburst, among many others. Lucy also created many fun crafts and activities to give students hands-on learning experiences. Rosalind Supernant. Roz became a pirate in 2008 when she was hired as a school nurse. During her tenure here, she has demonstrated exemplary practice and professionalism in her service to students at the Early Childhood Center, Russell Elementary, Schnell Elementary, and the middle school. In addition, Roz has provided leadership in the West Carrollton Education Association, served on the board of the Southwestern Ohio School Nurses Association, and mentored countless Wright State University nursing students in their school-based practicums over the year. Nursing has been Roz's passion and career since 1978 and has included roles in medical intensive care, public health nursing, and school nursing. Roz shared that she is excited for the opportunity to retire in good health and to spend more time with her family. I have a feeling she might be traveling some more. A few years ago, she went to Japan, and I'm always sad that I never really got a chance to talk to her about that trip, but maybe one day we'll do lunch. Ricky Wilkerson. Ricky worked for the district for 7 years as a custodian at CF Holiday Elementary and Harry Russell Elementary. Family is very important to Ricky. He enjoys talking about his wife, his children, and grandchildren. He always asked others how their family was doing. And so we want to thank him for his years of service. We want to thank all of our retirees for their service. Again, we have educators, we have support personnel, and it takes all of them to make everything work. There's going to be some big shoes to fill as these people leave, but if Anna and Lucy Lou Jean Reed could come up, we have a little gift for you. And I apologize that it's a little wet. That's Devin's fault. I'm definitely calling him out on that. He wore the jacket. He could have put it over the box, but he didn't. First off, we have a Pirate Pride Award certificate for Lucy and a Pirate Pride Award certificate for Anna. And this was in case there was a tornado, we could have signaled for help. But anyhow, for Lucy and for Anna, just a little token of our thanks for your years of service. Thank you. I know I'm going to miss you guys.
Thank you.
I thought the bell was the bovine award.
No, Mr. Henry, it's a bell for teaching.
But you're not far off because we have had bovine conversations. Item number 10B, Mrs. Tice.
Item 10B, all right. So, hello, everybody. This evening, I'm going to be giving a little bit of an overview of our special education funding for FY22, which is the 21-22 school year, and then looking ahead to next year's expenses. Am I clicking this, or?
You want my glasses?
I don't need them tonight.
Okay.
I came prepared. Okay, it is? It's not? Ta-da. Okay. All right, so the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, is the federal law that governs special education for students. And IDEA emphasizes the provision of what is called free and appropriate education, or FAPE, and that is for all students with disabilities. Now, the interesting part of that, I always think, is when we talk about free and appropriate public education, it's free and appropriate to the child and the parent. It's not free to us. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight, the way we use our federal dollars, our state dollars, and the remainder of the expenses that are covered by local funds. One of the requirements for IDEA is that we obtain input from the public on our expenditures every year. So usually in May or June, I stand up here and present information on what our expenditures have been and how we allocate resources for that. Special education eligibility really is service that's provided to students beginning at age 3 and through age 21. And there are 13 different disability categories. The print there is pretty small, but we serve students anywhere with a range of speech and language disorders, learning disabilities, autism, traumatic brain injury, intellectual disabilities, health impairments, blind and deaf students. We just run the gamut. And some services require significantly more funding than others. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that here this evening. We do serve 748 students who have an IEP for something in 2 distinct and separately funded entities. So we have school-age services, and school-age services are for students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade, and then we also have preschool services. So we are serving right now 694 students, school-age students, grades K through 12, in any variety of means for special education. And again, that could be something as simple as a speech and language IEP for a student at the early grades, or a student who has autism, a student who may have attention deficit disorder and requires additional services even. So wide variety of students. When you hear about 694, you know, you think, wow, that's a lot. But again, we're talking about a variety of services, different intensity of needs. And then in pre-K, we have our students who at age 3, if a student is in maybe receives what we call Help Me Grow services. So infants up through age 2, so up until the 3rd birthday, they may be receiving services for a variety of situations as well. We have the obligation as a school district to begin providing services for those students on their 3rd birthday. And so they come in, they're evaluated, and we're delivering services through preschool. We ended the year with 54 students who were served in that capacity. All right, and so when we are looking at how we're going to meet the needs of these students, we receive funds, or we have funds, access to those funds that really come from 5 different areas. We have federal IDEA funds and federal preschool funds. And remember, those IDEA funds, that's for K-12, and then the preschool funds are for our 3 and 4-year-olds. Then we also have state special education funds and state special education preschool funds. The remainder of that is funded through local funds. So if we dial in a little bit more on our K-12 students, we have, as I said, 694 students who are on IEPs. In order to serve those students, we employ 40 intervention specialists, 9 classroom assistants, and those classroom assistants would be in settings such as an MD unit, and those typically serve about 8 students at a time, and have a dedicated teacher, an assistant, and then oftentimes attendants who may be attending to individual student needs. Those could be anywhere from redirecting misbehaviors to helping to change diapers or toileting students who aren't able to do that for themselves, maybe assisting with mobility for kids who would be not ambulatory. We also employ 2 job coaches at the high school, which is great. They assist in getting our students out into the community and working on transition skills so that once they do graduate from high school, they are more likely to become independently employed. We have 1 sign language interpreter in the district, and we do have 6.6 speech language pathologists that are dedicated to this age group, so the K-12. We hire, or we employ 2 additional speech pathologists, but they are dedicated at the preschool level. 4.3 of our 4.8 school psychologists are also dedicated to grades K through 12. And then we also contract for services with the ESC. So those contracted services could include physical therapy, physical therapists, occupational therapists. We do contract for some additional speech services in certain cases when we may only need coverage for 1 day a week and it wouldn't make sense to hire a whole nother person. And then we have students that are called educated elsewhere. So they may be students who we really don't have the capacity to serve in our buildings. It may not be safe for others or for them to do that, and so we contract out those services. So last year in the 21-22 school year, it cost us $8.8 million, a little bit over that, to serve those 694 students. And that is the conglomeration of all those things that you see on the other side of that column. So all of the people that we're employing and all of those contracted services. We bring in about $3 million a year in state and federal funds, and that leaves $5.7 million that was funded by our local dollars last year. As we move to preschool, you can see that for those 54 students that I explained we serve at that age level, we have 3 intervention specialists, 3 classroom assistants, a handful of attendants, those 2 speech pathologists that I mentioned, and then half-time service of one of our school psychologists. The cost to employ those 54 students is significantly less, but it's contained just at 2 grade levels or 2 age bands. And that is $783,000 that we spent on that last year. Our funded amount at state and federal level was almost $300,000 at $296,757, which left $566,000 that was funded at the local level. There are some additional costs just besides staffing, and the kinds of things that we pay with some of those dollars that I explained would include special transportation. Many times you're approving transportation from Senior Solutions, for instance, because we're transporting a student to Warren County or to other locations within Montgomery County. That might be something that's covered there. special classroom supplies. Things like to run the coffee kiosk, which gives our students an opportunity to practice those transition skills. We need cups to run the coffee shop, or we need cleaning supplies, those kinds of things. So some specialized classroom supplies are included there. Specialized equipment, which could be special seating for a student, or maybe a device that would help them communicate, like a talker, a verbal talker, so they could push a button that would say, I need to go to the restroom, if they're not verbal. So those kinds of things. And then contracted placements, like I had mentioned with the ESC. I ran through that quickly. Those are, you're welcome. So those are the things that we spend money on, okay? And this is the opportunity for you to ask questions or to give feedback on things that you may think that we need to add in terms of service, and really for our community, if they're interested, to give feedback on that as well. We typically don't take the time right now to provide that feedback. Certainly, if you would like to, this is a great time to do that, but for others to contact me either via email or telephone at the number listed above. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those.
I mean, I'll just say something at least. Things like this, it might look like a lot of money, but for kids, there's not a price on these things, and the more I think about it, the more, these kids mean everything to what we do, So I hope that people have feedback. I hope people have more ideas to help out as much as possible, because those types of situations are hard. Especially for the parents. So anything that we can do to make it easier, I definitely support. And I know there's a lot of people out there that really that want more, that have ideas, and I just hope they do come up and talk about them, because I don't know exactly what they may be, but I fully support everything that goes on with this, for sure.
Oh, in the coffee shop? I'd say about 37. Yeah.
And are they involved in other
Work experiences?
work experiences,
Yep.
on campus and off campus?
Yep, a combination. And we have some students who have obtained, through volunteering outside the district, we have an opportunity where we have students, for instance, at Dorothy Lane Market. They have an opportunity to volunteer there, or it's really more of, it's not an apprenticeship, but I would liken it to an apprenticeship. So they have practice, they go in and do a little job study, and we've had some students who've gotten paid employment through those kinds of opportunities. Yeah, but that's part of why that coffee shop has been such a great, I know you guys know my passion for that when we put that in, but the opportunity for kids to really interact with peers that they don't share classes with, but to be able to interact on a daily basis and have routines and really understand what it means to have a job and to work and to produce a service, I just think is really meaningful. So it's been a good thing. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Mr. Cox has told us over the last couple of years about the impact of pirate packs on students in our communities that need that additional nourishment, especially on weekends, and it's carried over to the summers these last 2 years. For these students, how does a district our size relate to some of our neighbors? Because a lot of people are surprised that the pirate pack concept is in Kettering and Centerville schools, and you say, wow, they're kind of a little more upscale than our communities that we serve here. So let's turn that around from food service, if you will,
Special ed. We
to
have
their special needs.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anywhere. Some districts have 12%. We're at about 20% of students who have special needs. Some districts have 14%, 17%. I mean, a lot of what happens with communities is when you have lower incomes, you may have higher needs of students who have disabilities. And that could be for a variety of reasons. It may be for the location of the neighborhood. It could be that there is an RTA route that's close by, or that there are good, we have South Community right in our back door, so we have kids who are accessing those services. Proximity to hospitals or just different special therapies, affordable housing, all of those things impact families when they're choosing communities. If you have a student who has special needs and requires a lot of extra support, you may not have the discretionary income to go to a more affluent community. And so sometimes you see a greater impact on communities with lower average income. Yeah, that's good to hear. Good, thank you for bringing that up.
I have one little thing also. Can we have some of this information on the website? I don't know if they are on the website or not, but
This presentation?
just like some of the things that we've showed, so parents that want to maybe have their kid be a part of this, and they have, one of those, needs, they could look and be like, oh, they provide all these services. That'd be great.
We do have that on the
Do you?
website.
I was looking for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
All right, well, if you think of anything else, you know where to find me. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have some board policies up for second reading, and then a revision based on our discussion last time regarding personal communication devices. So I have two discussions. For the second reading, I'll just go through these really quickly. They're all minor changes. Policy 1550, changed the verbiage to saying administrators will have the same health care as all the other employees. Policy 4000, we changed some holidays. Adding, let me see. This is we removed from one of our other policies, this is adding our confidential unclassified secretarial and support staff. So they came out of another policy and have their own policy. Also, in lieu of Juneteenth, we added the day before Thanksgiving. Policy 4120, we changed the verbiage to say WCCEA agreement section 1.02 instead of listing all of the staff, so that way when we change position names or add positions, we can just refer to the contract. And then we deleted 441002, and we also deleted 341002. And then we have a policy number to be assigned. Okay. So, policy 5136, we had a long discussion about at the last board meeting regarding personal communication devices. So I took all of your feedback and went back to work on it, and I have added the things that you requested, and I think I've covered them. If you have read the
Yes,
draft.
you did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the changes in personal communication devices, talk about the phones, that's what we're speaking about, and you were concerned about our kids having the lunch breaks before and after school at the high school, so they can hear from coaches, extracurricular activities. So I added all of the verbiage. Students pre-K through 8, to avoid disruptions in the educational learning environment, they will have access to their school phones at any time if they need to call a parent. That is really truly where we have the most issues. So the high school kids will be more like when you were in school prior to COVID. And all of this had changed, as I mentioned last time, due to COVID, when kids needed their devices, and sometimes the only device that they had before we were able to deploy our laptops were their phones. So I think I've covered all of those changes, and I can bring it back for a
I
second.
was very
read.
happy, thank you.
You're welcome for a second reading, or we can maybe add it on tonight so I could get it in the handbooks. So it's
I'm
up to
fine.
you guys.
I think this is a very good compromise and will work very well with the students.
Okay.
I agree. I think the parents will be much happier with this.
So I would like for one of you to make a motion and
I'll make the motion.
you. Because I do need to get handbooks done this summer, and this will
Right,
help me
right, yes.
if it's approved. Otherwise, we don't meet again until mid-July.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So whatever you need to do to amend the agenda to put it on the bottom would be appreciated.
Oh, you're looking at me. Okay,
I know who was
so
talking to.
we have on the table, we have a motion and a second to vote on the proposed policy number 5136, and add that to the agenda for item number, what is the item number?
20.
Which one?
20.
20. So add to item number 20.
So we are adding policy number 5136 to the motion. on
Yes,
item
to the
number 20.
motion, mm-hmm. And then we'll need a roll call.
Adding it to existing item number 20.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy.
Yes.
Great. We'll vote on it later then. Thank you.
Item number 12, Mr. Barry. Squishy moccasins?
Everybody's.
Mine too.
everybody.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
The superintendent recommends that the board approve the following personnel items. Item 12A, accept the ratification of the resignation of the listed individuals. Item 12B, accept the resignation of the listed individual. Item 12C, conditionally grant a limited teaching contract to the listed individuals for the 2022-2023 school year, pending approval by the Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation and Concentric Drug Screening as required by Ohio Revised Code 3319.291 and the policies of the West Carrollton City School District. Item 12D, grant a continuing contract to the listed individuals effective with the 2022-2023 school year. And 12E, hire the listed individuals on a salary notice for the 2022-2023 school year. 12F, approve the listed individual as a 2022 summer school teacher. 12G, grant an unpaid leave of absence to the listed individual for the 2022-2023 school year. Item 12H, grant a leave of absence to the listed individual in accordance with the provisions of the Family Medical Leave Act.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Hiring teachers, as you see, we're on number 6. We've made sure to put the number there. My prediction was between 12 and 15. However, I think we may hit 20 this year. Some unexpected, others were as predicted.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Abstained?
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Item number F is an employee of mine's stepdaughter. So I need to abstain from that. Thank you. All right, item number 13, sir.
The superintendent recommends that the board approve the following personnel items. Item 12A, grant a supplemental people activity contract to the listed individual for the 2022-2023 school year.
Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
I can't. I have to abstain.
Second the motion.
Mrs. Miller,
Abstain.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Item number 14.
Superintendent recommends that the board approve the following personnel items. Item 14A, accept the ratification of the resignation of the listed individual. Item 14B, accept the resignation of the listed individual for retirement purposes. Item 14C, accept the resignation of 2 employees on the agenda and 1 on the addendum, for a total of 3 individuals. And 14D, conditionally employ the following individuals, pending approval by the Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation and consensual drug screening as required by Ohio Revised Code 3319.291 and the policies of the West Carrollton City School District. There's 1 listed on the agenda and 1 on the addendum. Item 14E, employ the listed individuals for the 2022 summer help. There are 4 on the agenda and 1 on the addendum.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Yes, sir. You have number 15.
Try to leave.
Squishy walk again.
Oh, yeah, that is all. The superintendent recommends that the board approve the separation agreement for the individual and accept the resignation of the individual's teaching contract and employment with said resignation effective June 30th, 2022.
Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Any comments?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. Item number 16. Right. Mrs. Tice? Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Sleep
You have
back
16,
there.
you have 16 and 17. Here you go. You left yours up there.
Okay. Okay, item number 15, the superintendent I'm sorry, 16. See? Let me put them on. Nope, that did not help. Okay. Wrong way. Okay, item number 16, the superintendent recommends that the board approve the 2022-2023 agreement with the Montgomery County Educational Service Center as presented.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Okay, and item 17, very similarly, the superintendent recommends that the board approve the 2022-2023 agreement with the Warren County Educational Service Center as presented.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, sir.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Okay, and both of those, just as we discussed in the presentation, those are for a lot of those contracted services, primarily for special education students.
Great, thank you.
so much.
Moving on to item number 18, Mr. Sloan.
Thank you. I ask that the board approve the financial items, item A, appropriation modifications, and B, the May 2022 financial reports.
Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Sec-
Oh. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Comments?
These are for 11 months, July through May 31st. On the cover page, just the bottom half just regarding comparing the actual to the projected, and the projected is comparing it to the November 21 forecast, not the May of 22 forecast. So I mean, compared to the November 21 forecast, I mean, we'll end the year better than the November forecast was saying, mainly due to the higher tax collections, which I mentioned last meeting. Plus, we had a tax agreement that we received in May that I referenced on the first page. So, just good news that we'll end up in better shape than what the November 21 forecast was showing.
Item number 19, back to you, sir.
Thank you. I asked that the board adopt the temporary appropriation resolution at the fund level for fiscal year 2022-2023 as presented.
So moved.
Motion and second, please.
So moved.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
and Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
This is just the starting point for the 22-23 school year. All districts have temporary appropriation before July 1, just so that there is a budget in place for the upcoming school year. And the numbers that on the majority of the budget obviously is from the general fund, and the numbers on the general fund budget come directly from the 5-year forecast that we approved at the May 18th meeting a couple weeks ago.
Great. Thank you. Any questions on that?
I have a weird question about that. Does that get sent over to the auditor or the Secretary of State?
It goes, all the appropriations, the following day, I always email all of this information to the county auditor's office.
County auditor?
They collect budgets and revenue estimates from all governmental entities across the area, the county.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, item number 20, Dr. Townsend.
Thank you. I need a motion as second that the board adopt as presented the proposed policies for the West Carrollton Board of Ed, 1550, 341002, 4000 new number to be assigned, 4120, 441002, and now adding 5136.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mundy?
Yes.
Item number 21. I need a motion and a second that the West Carrollton Board of Education approve as presented the revised memorandum of understanding between the City of West Carrollton and the Board of Education and the West Carrollton School District regarding our school resource officer program.
I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mundy?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes. That's like comments?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, as you know, we've already approved this contract once. The chief has come back to me, and we will have our officer here full-time now. So that has increased our security guards at the high school, or resource officers, to 2 at the high school. We have 1 at the middle school. We are in the process of working with Moraine to get a resource officer for our 5-6. I know I have a parent here who had an interest in this tonight. So my suggestion, sir, is please go to City Council. I'm happy to have more. So I have taken what I can get, and I'm very happy that we are able to have our school resource officers here. I'm happy that it's going to full-time, but I definitely would like more. So please go to council and ask. So, as you guys know, safety is important to us. A lot of the details we don't make public. Our new buildings, for those of you who have been in, know they're secure and state-of-the-art. And you're about ready to hear some very positive news about the rest of the buildings.
Yes.
So,
Can you explain real quick the partnership we have to have with the city on the police department? Because I know a lot of folks don't understand that part of what we do with the SROs is they are still West Carrollton officers.
correct. So our West Carrollton partnership, and soon to be Moraine, which I'm very hopeful for. We contract with them, and I pay the city. They invoice us for the officer. So I use my city county money. I don't use tax dollars, but sometimes I have to dig into that a little bit to make sure that we do have a police officer here. So they are truly their employees still. So the nice thing is we have the police station across the street from a couple of our buildings, and then having our resource officer here with Schnell being right next door, it's been very helpful. And then adding the Marine officer, and which I'm very hopeful will be very beneficial. But it'll be the same thing. It's their employee. We've always tried to get more, but they haven't had the ability to have more employees given to the school. So the fact I now have a full-time person, I'm extremely happy about that. So we're looking forward to continuing to grow that partnership as they have the ability to be a little bit more flexible. So,
Okay, great.
thank you.
Item number 22.
That one, Jack, do you
Jack.
want me to? Yep. This is the exciting news.
Yes.
Be ready. Here it comes.
Okay, I ask that the board adopt as presented the resolution authorizing West Carrollton School District Board to participate in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission Classroom Facilities Assistance Program.
I need a motion and a second,
So moved.
Second.
and I would have loved to have been part of that, but I'm board president for this, so that is great news. Mr. I'm excited about this. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Mundy,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
And let's get a quick comment on it. What exactly is this?
Well, what this is the state saying, we're giving you your money to build the second phase to
Yeah,
finish
we're
our
getting all
construction
the schools.
project. And what the next step will be is Dr. Townsend will get this resolution signed by Mr. Sloan, and Dr. Townsend will send this back up to the OSFC, where they will present it at their July 7th commission meeting. And if it's approved by the commission meeting, it goes on to the controlling board for approval. And then after that, we start the process of getting together, hiring an architect and engineer, and then starting to look for a CMR and start talking design for the new 7-12 building and the 2nd through 4th grade building, which will be built hopefully simultaneous on that. So they've awarded us for this next phase, it'll be $112 million on that. So the total project will come out to be about almost $154,000, or $154 million. Sorry, my bad. $154 million project when it's all said and done. Our share is going to come in right about 29,
29 is.
say, it's about 29 million. So $154 million in schools, we're going to pay $29 million to get them. So
Which was a 81%, 19% split.
81% paid by the state, 19%
level.
paid by us.
Yep.
The cost, this original cost back in 2019, when they put our master plan together for phase 2, was set to be $80 million to build the two buildings. Because of inflation and the prices we've seen jump, that $80 million project has turned into an $112 million project.
Sounds like a lot, but it truly isn't at that time.
Mr. Sloan, I'm giving, he saw this back when we were talking about this, not knowing what inflation would look like. When we went out for our bond issue, we could have just asked at the time for $20 million worth of funding. We went out for $44 million worth of funding. By doing that extra funding, we did not have to go back to taxpayers to help pay for the additional money needed for this project. We've built that into that initial bond issue. So it's, he saw it, he knew what to do, and he did it right to save us having to come back to the taxpayers a second time, which I think you've seen, who is it? Huber Heights is talking about having to do something different. I think Franklin was talking about the same thing, running into issues with that. And I think Valley View's cut back on some stuff.
The good news is that is quite a savings in time also, because they were talking a year to two between phase 1 and phase 2. And we're going to slide right from phase 1 into phase 2.
Which, when we were talking leading up to the November 2019 bond issue, on that campaign, when we met with the public, we said, best case scenario is we finish the buildings, open the buildings in the fall of 2022, which we did, and then roll straight into phase 2. And you couldn't have scripted it better than the way it's working out right now. The goal will be now to make sure the state can keep up on our time schedule, because it'd be great. The plan would be designed for 1 year, build for 2 years, and then 2024 would be ready to move forward. So
Pretty fast. It's exciting news.
that's it.
Excited.
Very, yes, it's so
Thank you so
exciting.
much.
Thanks.
All right, comments and reports. Do we have anything from our committees this week? Okay. Comments from our superintendent.
So I would just like to echo what Janine said about our graduation. The ceremony was fantastic. The UD was packed. It was just so nice to see everybody able to come out and support our students and their children. I'd also like to congratulate the retirees for their service. It's greatly appreciated. And on a final note, I think I had 100 million tears last night on my way home. I was so excited when our package came in. So very excited about the next steps for the schools.
Great, thank you. Mr. Sloan?
Just congratulations and best wishes to all the retirees, and especially to Paula Farrell. She worked in the treasurer's office 20 plus years. Best wishes to her, and to Robert Johnson, technology supervisor. He's definitely going to miss working with him and all the help that he's given us during his time. And then also to Dr. Myers, best wishes and congratulations to him. I'm sure he won't miss my sense of humor or my jokes, but we'll stay in touch somehow.
Alrighty, thank you. We have no comments from the West Carrollton Education Association, nothing from classified. Central office, start down in front. Mr. Haig, anything?
The other thing I would like to add is, again, congratulations to the retirees. Sad to lose Dr. Myers on that, and losing another administrator with Mr. Johnson is going to be tough. He's the one guy I could call on my way into work, and I know he's into work before me every day. So on that part, I regret not being able to say it earlier why she was here, but that Judy Brooks was our exceptional, our SB award winner for the support person of the year. She was sitting in the audience, but she left before we got a chance to make a comment about it while she was here tonight. So I want to congratulate her on that honor for being voted support person of the year this year.
Awesome, great, thank you. Mr. Berry?
Much of the same. Congratulations to the class of 2022. It was a really good graduation. I enjoyed it. Congratulations to the retirees as well. And congratulations. I guess it's congratulations. But yeah, we will miss you, and I think you added a lot, and definitely left your mark here at West Carrollton. So farewell, but I'm quite sure we'll speak again. And I wanted to extend my condolences to Kasha.
Thank you. Mrs. Tice?
I would echo the same, our condolences to you and congratulations to all of our graduates, all of our retirees who served so well for so long, to Dr. Myers, and to congratulations to really the community on this next exciting move into the second phase of building. It's amazing, and it's even more exciting, I think, because we begin to see what phase 2 brings to us in that very short term now. So well done to everyone.
Dr. Myers?
I think I shared my letter with everybody here for my resignation. It's bittersweet, but I want to thank you for the time to be in the community. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the class of 2022 graduate, but I heard great things, obviously, about that. Really
Thank you. Congratulations. Comments from the board. Mr. Mundy.
Of course. Man, got me emotional. Sorry. I want to first start off by congratulating our new student rep. How exciting. It's especially for her to come out of the doors with ideas like that. That brings so much hope to me, and I'm so excited for her burning passion to really do what she can to help out with the school. And you know, I just can't wait to see the amazing things that she's going to do. Of course, also to the staff that's retiring. I mean, thank you so much for all that you've done. You know, I think the kids would thank you the most. Of course, it's one of those things where you don't think of it too much, but you look back and you realize all the kids that you have, really touched the lives of and made differences throughout the years. So we thank you for that. We thank you for the amazing things that you have done, not just for the school, not just for the parents, but especially for those students. And then, of course, I'm ending it off like always, but this one's special for Mr. Myers here. For me, Principal Myers, for most of the time. We worked on some amazing projects together, and to see you move on to greener pastures is fantastic. And, there's an old farmer saying, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. Pick one, because nothing living stays the same. So I guess it's easy to say that I'm happy that Mr. Myers is still green and he's still growing. So
Not rotting yet.
thank you so much for your service, Mr. Myers.
Love it. Okay. Mr. Henry.
And I get to follow that. I'm repeating, but I want to add cheers to our summer school students who are working very hard this month. And the staff that is supporting them. Many people don't know that we bring them from home to school and take them back. We feed them at midday, breakfast as well. So there's a minimum of interruption to their school day. They've got something to do in a short period of time, and they're at it now. Congrats to the class of 2022. I thought the graduation ceremony was perfect. Congratulations to all of our retirees. They've put in their time. Now it's time for them to relax, look at something different than the education environment, perhaps. Or, not that I know anything, some might go back to school to get another degree. Congratulations to Judy Brooks that has done so much for our students year after year. And I'd like to thank the Ohio government for its Phase 2 funding of our construction of the last big, huge chunk of our replacement of our classroom buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Miller.
Well, I'm going to echo a lot. Congratulations to our graduates. It was a very wonderful graduation ceremony down at UD, and it never ceases to amaze me how they can just go through the motions of everything, and it all just works with that. So congratulations to our retirees. And to Robert, I'm sure there's a plane out there with a rabbit on it that this is kind of an inside joke that he and I have always had. And I hope he takes many trips and enjoys his retirement. Congratulations to Judy Brooks. She has a wonderful green thumb and has provided our local food pantries and around with many vegetables, and she does such a great job in the classroom and for our kids. And best wishes to Dr. Myers. I hope you have a wonderful time in your next phase. It is a great day to be a pirate because it's you will all have the opportunity to be in the new buildings, and once you see what they are, then this next phase will be even more exciting to you. For those of us that have been able to be in the new buildings, we understand this as being a momentous occasion. But you all will very soon, and when you get in there, you will, it's just phenomenal. I mean, from the tiniest little detail to everything, you look around and say, oh my gosh, this is pirate country now. So very excited, very, very excited, and can't wait to start the next leg. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Congrats to our grads. For those of you who were there or who watched, I've got my son who graduated. I also had a lot of non-biological sons and daughters that graduated. Our house has been the hangout since 2nd or 3rd grade. I had a lady ask me, she was like, did you see the guy hung out on those kids down there with the diplomas? And I was like, I was the guy. And she says, what do you mean? I said, they're non-biological kids. They probably spent as much time at my house as they did at their own house. It was an honor and a privilege to see all of them graduate, and some of them really struggled with the COVID stuff, with the online stuff. They would come to our house and have study sessions. We did not follow most lockdown protocols because we had study sessions in our kitchen. While I was making breakfast on the weekends, they were doing their online work because my wife made them. But congratulations to the class of 2022. Congratulations to our retirees. Greener grasses. Best of luck. Enjoy. Our student rep, what a refreshing young lady. She'll have a new set of eyes on what's going on. She'll bring a different aspect to what we do, and it's an exciting year to be up at the up in Columbus in November to present this program and to talk about it. So that's a good thing. Congratulations to Dr. Myers. It's a good move, and I'm sure you have your sights set on bigger, better things. I'd like to extend congratulations to everybody that is in the middle of the move, that is moving quietly. I know we have some that are not moving so quietly. Be patient. The move is, I know we're in full swing. I know it's not even close to being completed. I know there's still a bunch of punch list stuff going on. Try to get the buildings finalized and get full-time final occupancies. That's a big deal. The exciting news today was the quick entry into phase 2. If the state keeps up with us, that's groundbreaking in a year and a half-ish to 2 years. So that's a big deal. That's moving quickly. That's all I've got tonight. We have an executive meeting we're going to break into. Thank you for coming.
To
Motion
go into
second.
motions.
Need a motion in a second?
Yep.
To go into executive.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Mundy?
Yes.
And there will be no additional, no actions taken, and we will be conducting no official business after the executive. Everybody be safe tonight and have a great night.